Chris, what is our first main topic today?
Our first topic comes from Patrick Pellegrini. Greetings and salutations. In the wake of the new trailer for Black Panther Wakanda Forever, there is now a fan movement sharing #recast T'Challa and calling for a boycott of the film, as they believe the decision not to recast was disrespectful to both Chadwick Boseman and the character of T'Challa. Honestly, I feel like there was really nothing Marvel could have done that would have been an ideal situation. Anyway, what are y'all's thoughts here, and do you think this could have a significant impact on the film?
All right, thanks a lot for sharing that, Patrick. And look, there's a couple things you've got to understand about me. I'd love to dig up the clip, but when they announced Chadwick Boseman was going to be Black Panther, I still remember the movie talk we were doing at the time. And I know there were a lot of people going like, who? And it's like, guys, I told everybody, listen, if you have not seen, I still think his best performance was Get On Up.
Me too.
I'm like, if you guys have not seen Get On Up or 43 or whatever, this guy is going to be a great Black Panther. He's going to be out. So I was thrilled and excited about Chadwick Boseman being Black Panther from the beginning. I'm kind of the grandfather of the whole recast T'Challa movement. I mean, like once the initial wave and shock of everything, like the passing of Chadwick happened and people started to discuss again, well, you know, what do they do now with the Black Panther character? I was one of the first people to say, this T'Challa is too important of a character. What Chadwick Boseman did and the work that he did to kind of make this character a part of our zeitgeist is too important. Recast it, carry it on. That's what you need to do. So before I say what I'm about to say, you've got to understand, number one, I loved Chadwick Boseman as Black Panther. And number two, I completely believe they should have recast. I completely believe they should have continued on with the character of T'Challa and they should have recast. Okay? With that said, this whole idea of boycotting because they didn't recast it is silly. Guys, listen to me. I'm one of you. I believe they should have recast T'Challa to this day. But do you not realize the movie is shot? It's done now. The movie's done. There's no recasting anybody now. The movie's shot. It's done. But you also, and I've said this before, this whole idea, because I have heard from people, I have seen people saying that, you know, that it was disrespectful for them to say the character's been killed off and all this kind of nonsense. And the thing is this, Kevin Feige, more importantly, Ryan Coogler, and people who worked side by side with Chadwick Boseman for years to create this project that really, when people look back on the life and career of Chadwick Boseman, unfortunately, they're not going to look on Get On Up or whatever. They're going to think Black Panther. That's really his legacy, right? These people who worked side by side with Chadwick Boseman and knew him and loved him and helped forge that legacy. If you think for 1 second you respect Chadwick Boseman more than those people did, you're just as dumb as I look. I mean, that's a stupid thing to think at all. You don't know and you don't respect Chadwick Boseman as much as those people do. All right. This has never been an issue about respect. And as much as I have completely 100% believed they should have recast T'Challa, I've also been very careful to say, but here's the thing. I know that Ryan Coogler and Kevin Feige are going to make their decisions based on what they think is the most respectful thing to do. I may disagree with what the conclusion is, but I totally know that whatever decision they come to, it's because what they think is the most respectful. And so when Kevin Feige, shortly after the passing of Chadwick Boseman, came out and said, we are never going to recast T'Challa. Chadwick Boseman is our T'Challa. He's our king. And so we're not going to recast him. You've got to be a little bit of a fool not to realize that while I may disagree with his conclusion, you got to be a fool not to recognize that their heart was in the right place, right? We may disagree with the conclusion, but don't for a second think that they were doing out of, they were just trying to cash in on the death of Chadwick Boseman. Guess what? If they did recast it, there would have been a bunch of other people saying they're just cashing in on the death of Chadwick Boseman. I mean, it was a no-win situation for them. So this whole idea, and listen, I felt the same way about the passing of Carrie Fisher, right? I said from the beginning, Leia is too important. Carrie Fisher has spent like her lifelong legacy building this character, You as a studio should pick up the baton for her and carry it across the finish line with that last one in her name. And it would be better for the movie. It would be better for her. I believe that, but they didn't do it. So when they didn't do it, I got two options. I can whine and cry about it, or I can say, well, you made the decision. Let's hope the movie's great. And as somebody who is firmly in the camp of they should have recast T'Challa, they didn't. And they didn't for their own reasons, that their heart was completely in the right place. And the movie's now made. And so we can A, whine and bitch and cry about it, or we can say, okay, they moved forward. Let's move on and let's hope this movie's really great. Because, I saw that Black Panther trailer as somebody who totally believes they should have recast T'Challa, and that trailer's great. So I still believe it would have been the right idea to recast T'Challa, but you know what? They didn't. So now we can either cry like little fucking babies, or we can say, they didn't do it. Let's move on. Fingers crossed that this movie's great and it'll be wonderful. So I get it. I will lead the charge of they should have recast T'Challa parade. I'll lead that parade. But we also have to this whole idea that now we're going to boycott this movie. That is the worst of fandom. That is misguided at best. And maybe this discussion could have been brought up while they were still trying to make their decision, but it's done. Hey guys, we want to take a second and thank the sponsor of this episode, MeUndies. Now you guys have heard us talk about MeUndies, the legendary underwear brand that has totally taken over the podcasting world. And guys, I have been wearing MeUndies for the last couple of months, and I can honestly tell you it changes your day when you start off your day by putting on a pair of the most comfortable underwear you've ever worn, knowing that you're going to be walking in comfort all day in MeUndies. Everyone knows MeUndies for their super soft undies and comfy bralettes, but did you know that they make other stuff too? We're talking durable, cushy socks that will make your feet sing. We're talking super stretchy loungewear. We're talking daily tees, shorts, and rompers that add a little silky softness to your everyday. They even make hoodies for your dog so you can match every important person in your life. Available in sizes of extra small to 4XL and tons of colors and prints, make MeUndies your destination for all things soft and sustainable. MeUndies has a great offer for John Campea Show listeners. For any first-time purchasers, you get 20% off plus free shipping and returns. To get 20% off your first order, free shipping, and 100% satisfaction guarantee, go to MeUndies.com/Campea. That's MeUndies.com/Campea. So I don't know. That's just kind of the way I look at it and see it. Chris, obviously a lot of people, I want to ask, where were you all those people when they hadn't made up their mind yet? And I was going, yes, recast T'Challa. Everybody stayed quiet about it. But we are now, especially after the trailer, a lot of people saying the growing movement of recast T'Challa, even though the movie's already done. But yeah. I don't know. How do you see this? It seems like it's a difficult situation regardless.
It absolutely is. And it's far too late to recast. They're not going to do reshoots, right? So be ridiculous. I always thought it was incredibly respectful to not replace T'Challa with the idea of replacing the Black Panther. And I completely understood that reasoning, but I also understood why other people thought, no, let's have, T'Challa just be taken on by somebody else the way we've had multiple Batman, multiple Spider-Man. I get both arguments. However, most of the time when people do these kinds of petitions, it's just like internet trolls, right? It's a small but loud majority. I don't think most people find this disrespectful, and I don't want to put people's opinions in their mouths, but I truly don't think most people are sitting at home going, wow, this was the most disrespectful thing they could have done to Chadwick Boseman. What a bunch of dicks. These guys don't have any passion or compassion for him. I don't think anyone actually really believes that except for a very, very small minority. And if you do, hey, you are entitled to your opinion. That's totally, totally fine. I'm not judging that, right? I just don't think that complaining about it in this way does any good. You can absolutely have your opinions and your reservations about this film, but go see it and see how you feel about it then. Or when the whole pre-production process was happening, then you could have stated your case. But right now, too little, too late.
By the way, little bit of a side note. Ever since we covered the Wong topic, everybody in the live chat's been putting their Wong puns.
It's just constant Wongs.
I just read one that said Wakanda Forever.
That one.
I just kind of like that one. Easy. Anyway, Rob, this is an evolving situation we've been talking about, unfortunately, ever since the passing of Chadwick Boseman. But what do you make of this?
Well, I guess I feel differently in the sense that when I think when an iconic character or the actor that plays an iconic character passes on. I like the idea that if they're going to continue the story of, like in the case here, Wakanda itself, that they incorporate that person's passing into the story, because that's life, you know. And I with, you know, my beloved, I'll bring up my two favorite words, Star Trek. When you see Captain James Tiberius Kirk Shatner began playing Kirk in 1966. His character died in 1994's Generations.
Right.
That was he almost played that character for 30 years. And we saw the fact that he got older, and being middle-aged was incorporated into the character itself, you know, in Star Trek 2, getting older, having to wear glasses and all that. And then he finally dies in Generations. You know, for me as a person that watched this franchise my entire life, you had to go through that. You had to go through the death of that character and give it up. And in a way, it kind of helps people grow. Now, I would love to have seen Chad Boseman play this part for 30 years. You know, I'd love to see him age into the role. I would love to have seen a T'Challa who was bearded and, you know, grizzled and battle hard.
See T'Challa become T'Chaka.
I mean, yeah, because, absolutely. And we're not going to do that. And barring that, I think they made the right choice. Because while I think, obviously, I've been a James Bond fan, they've recast that character. But to see what they're going to do, I thought this trailer, I was so curious, John, about what were they going to do? And it looks like they're giving us a great story. And that's all I want from these things, is a great story, rather than having an iconic character come back. If the story of what happens in Wakanda Forever carries forth the MCU, carries forth the story of Wakanda, and then carries forth the legacy of Chad Boseman himself, aren't we better off? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, to me, the character of T'Challa is such an important character, and the fact that he only got his one movie, I really just thought the character should have been carried. But to your point, they didn't, and it's now, and we got a great trailer, and it's time to just move on. It's time to move on. Now, do I still hope that they? Because this is the Marvel fake death universe, right? Do I still hope at some point in later movies, say T'Challa is back and it's played by a different? Absolutely, I do, and I will hold on to that. But for this movie, this idea of they didn't do what I wanted them to do, boycott it. I just cannot be there with you on that.
But it's also, you know, to me, it also flies in the face of all these very talented professionals, like you pointed out earlier. Yeah. You think those people that made Wakanda Forever aren't thinking we must do the best job that we can do? I mean, it's such a weird thing to me that somebody would look, if something comes out and it's not good, then pillory it all you want online. But it looks to me that the utmost respect and effort has been put forward to make sure that the legacy of Chad Boseman and then also the story of Wakanda is being moved forward in grand fashion.
Let me ask you theoretical. Let's say they did what I think they should have done, and they had recast Chadwick Boseman. Do you think today we would be facing a lot of backlash, people saying boycott this movie because you shouldn't have recast? I think there clearly would have been.
Absolutely.
I think it's a lose-lose.
Yeah, it's a damned if you do, damned if you don't do situation. And I don't know how old this petition is too, but I am wondering after the Lego news too, does this have to do with a woman being Black Panther too? If that's an issue, I don't want to put people's thoughts and opinions out there and tell them what they're thinking, but I'm wondering if that's some backlash from that potential news of going, oh, I don't want Shuri to be my Black Panther. Boycott this film. That's disrespectful. We have been hearing
the hashtag recast T'Challa has been around for a bit.
Yeah.
But I mean, there could be some of that too. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Ultimately, what do you think they should have done? But now that what they were going to do is done, what should our response to it be moving forward? I've told you what my thoughts are. What are yours? Whatever your thoughts are, jump down to the comment section below and leave those thoughts there.